Good stuff here. All right, everybody. Well, hey, our next guest podcasting rock star on our Petcha Pod Pitch is a lady who's got an amazing story. She absolutely just does great stuff. I think we're all out looking for more ways to get what we want. Well, she is the get what you want guru. So much that she's got a book out, Get What You Want. And she just does an amazing job with her Get What You Want podcast with Shirley. And you're going to love what she has. This lady not only is a life coach, but you know what? If you're a sports fan, you may want to pick her brain a little bit because she does a great job. Started off really kind of being a mind coach and a scout for multiple Major League Baseball teams, starting with San Diego, but she calls Phoenix, Arizona home. And we just had her on our podcast, the Nutcloser Show. And you're going to love what she's doing. She just launched a few months back with her podcast, and it's already kicking butt and taking names. So we're honored to have Shirley Owens on here on Petcha Pod Pitch. How's it going today, Shirley?
Great, Scott. Thanks for having me again.
No
We're
problem.
becoming best friends, I feel like.
That's right. Instead of pen pals, we're pod pals. This is
yes,
back and forth,
it's
right?
so great.
Or pals. So let's share a little about your show and kind of why you started it, because I know you weren't wanting to start a podcast originally, right?
No. So I wrote a book, and I was just networking. I was on LinkedIn one day, and I saw Steve Olsher on there. I think somehow we connected on LinkedIn. And then I read something. I got something in the email that said, earn a scholarship to mass media mass media pod. I'm looking at yours to New Media Summit. I didn't know really what it was. And I thought it might be kind of fun to just go learn about podcasts, even though I probably won't do one, but I'm going to write into this thing anyway. And I got this scholarship. And so I thought, what the heck, I'm going to go be with 200 people that I don't know by myself for 5 days. And I got there and I made multiple friends for life, you being one of them. And it was just like such an amazing experience and so many great people. And I came home, wanted to start a podcast, asked one of the guys from there what I needed. And like, I had the equipment within 4 days, and then I just stared at it for 7 months because I didn't know what to do with it.
I'm motivated. I mean, I'm not a podcaster by buying the microphone and the software. Doesn't that?
I've got it. Yeah. So, and my husband kept saying, so when does your podcast start? And I didn't even know what I was going to do, what I was going to call it. And I have a really good friend, Shay Hillenbrand. He's a 2-time all-star, baseball player. And he'd show up at my house and be like, let's get on the mic. Let's get on the mic. So I have 9 hours of just us talking because I didn't know what it was. And so he and I have 9 hours that one of these days I'm going to turn into put it on my podcast somehow or some of it.
That should be like the special behind the scenes on your
right.
Members get like Patreon account stuff, called the Shay Files.
Yes. Honestly, there's so much stuff and so much good stuff. So
now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I just simply say, you shared on my podcast an interesting way that you launched your podcast. You share that with our audience. I committed you were at that point.
Okay, so to make a long story short, I figured out all the stuff I needed to do, which was a lot more than I thought it was to start it. And I had committed to a podcast date or a podcast launch date. And I'm a big committer to myself person. So I wasn't going to go back on that date, which was this past November 18th. And it ended up being the same day that I ended up scheduling hip surgery. So full hip replacement surgery on my podcast. And it was pretty cool. So yeah, I did it. Crazy.
Did it from the
sometimes you just got to do it.
Yeah, but you got it done. You did it, and now you're rocking and rolling there for you.
Yeah, like week 16 or 17, I think. So
that's good stuff. Now let's talk about Get What You Want. What's kind of the premise of your podcast? What's your focus for those that are listening?
So my guests are people that have gotten what they want, or they're on a really good path to getting what they want. Usually, they've got a great story, something that happened in their life that helped them to realize that getting what we want isn't always what we think it is. That's my intro. And I think that oftentimes we think that what we want is a lot of money, a nice house, this, that, as soon as I get this, I'll be happy. As soon as I get this, I'll be happy. And really there's way more to it. And so My podcast, I talk to people who have gone through some stuff or have gotten what they wanted and realized maybe that wasn't what they wanted. Great guests, great stories. You were one of my guests. And just every single show has something to do with a way of getting what you want or learning about what it is that you actually want.
That's the truth. Now, your husband thinks it's a plan to help a book, a manual on him, correct? But it's not.
Right. That was my book. Yeah. So my book was Get What You Want from Your Man. And he was like, yeah, that's a personal manual. That's like the playbook for me, but it works. It's good. He loves it.
There you go.
So yeah.
Now you wrote the book and launched the podcast. Some people will launch the podcast and do the book. When you were starting with the book, was that the plan with the podcast all along, or no?
No, I didn't know I wanted to have a podcast until I was actually at New Media Summit.
I know.
And maybe even until I actually got home from that and thought, these are really cool people. I want to be like them. So.
Oh, but you got guested on quite a few podcasts.
I did.
Yeah. Too, did you?
I did. I think I don't know. I think I came home with like 25 invitations, which was amazing. I was blown away. So I've done a lot of shows, been on a lot of shows, and I was really hesitant at first because I was afraid to be on camera. I was afraid that I wasn't going to answer all the questions right. And what I've learned is that when you are aligned with yourself and you're in integrity with yourself, it doesn't really matter if you speak to one person or 10,000 people. You're always speaking your truth. So I learned that a lot. It took me a little bit to realize that, but.
Have you seen an increase in the movement of your book or activity with your book sales since the podcast launched?
Oh, for sure. So yes, I've been on live TV in New York. I've been published 30 times in different articles. And it's a little bit of a combo of the two, but I think having a podcast just kind of puts you out there, and you're like, with my book, it was very focused on one thing, on how to get what you want from your man. And this is more like get what you want out of life in every scenario. And I have a couple other books coming up, but I didn't even realize I wanted to write those exactly until my podcast was launched and I started talking with people and realizing just what a great platform this is. This is my fun place though. This is what I'm learning. At first it seemed like work and I was scared, and every interview I'd get worried about my busy days where I'd have 2 or 3 interviews in a day. And now it's like, oh, I get to go and be coached by somebody, my guest, right? So it's like free coaching, developing friends, like developing relationships. Everything that I do is about relationships. And so it's just a way to build bigger, better relationships. And I've realized that in this world, so far, at least for me, there hasn't been competition. Everyone just wants to help everybody else out. And so, yeah, a lot of my guests, I've been on their shows too, and it's so great.
Mm-hmm. That's the truth. I feel that same way too. It's a great way to get coaching or to learn about something new from the source in a lot of ways. It's not filtered down and asking interesting questions. And yes, it is fun to do because it's nice having that positive endorphins every day when you get on a podcast with somebody. Yes. It's a little bit of it's a great thing versus, because I think we get so bogged down, and you and I talked about this a little bit earlier. We get so kind of bogged down in our own lives and things we're struggling with, and the fact that when we build new relationships, it takes away that negativity. It allows us to escape a lot of times, but it also gives us a great insight to be happy about where we're going. And you were mentioning, hey, we've all been through difficult times. As long as we're 6 feet above ground, we've got something to be happy about, no matter what's going on, right?
Yeah, I've had guests that have some crazy stories, and the outcomes are just so beautiful that you start to just look at the adversity that comes your way as something that's just like, wow, what am I going to be at the end of this? And so I love that part too. Yeah,
it's a great thing. And it's podcasters, you said before, have a pretty friendly and co-opetition is something we've used in other things where we're competitive. We're all wanting, hey, more downloads, more eyeballs, earballs, or shows, but we're all willing to cooperate because it's not really a lot of competition. out there, right?
No, we all have our own voice and our own thing. And, you know, someone may not resonate with me, but they're going to resonate with you. And we're just like all sharing the world of listeners. And I know for a fact that a lot of my listeners are now like friends, people that were close to me that I talk to all the time. They're like, oh, I've been listening to so-and-so's podcast, you know, Michael Neely's podcast. Now I listen to Debbie's, or they listen to all of my friends' podcasts because they heard me on their show or I had them on my show. And so, yeah, I feel like we share listeners, and it's just been such a fun, like really good group of people. We're all like-minded, you know, even no matter what walk of life we come from. It's just been so great. I love it. I'm going to probably just keep telling you how great it is. It's a lot of work. It is a lot of work, but I think
it is,
that also gives us
it is work
power.
putting stuff together, getting people scheduled. But, you know, that's when you think about that, that's really becomes a smaller aspect of how much good is on the other side of taking that action.
Oh, for sure. And reaching out and like learning from people like you, learning from people who are out there doing the setting up of, and I've learned so much from just reaching out to all of my podcasting. Everything I've learned has been reaching out to the podcaster friends of mine.
There you go.
They've been so good about giving me advice, and that's how I was able to do it, actually.
Right. Now, did you just have something last night, or you have something coming up locally there with a comedian or something like that?
So I was on a morning show here, and the host of the morning show, they call her Diva Danielle. She's this amazing woman. And I don't know, somehow in that 10 to 15 minutes we bonded, and she asked me to be her co-host of a show that she's producing. So on February 13th at a place called CB Live here at Desert Ridge in Phoenix, we have an audience of 300 people, and we're doing a live show on stage, and she's the comedian and I'm the relationship expert. We're going to be working through some stuff with people. So
very nice.
We've got a great opener, and yeah, it's going to be so fun. So
Good
all
stuff,
kinds of opportunities. I feel like I've circled the whole gamut of opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. Has there been anything that surprised you on a negative side, or something that's like, what you didn't expect from on your short podcast?
Like on my show, or just from
the show, or anything like that? Anything negative?
I would just say it was just a lot more work than I expected to get it started. There were a lot of moving pieces and parts that I didn't realize. So I really needed help. But I don't know that that's negative, but it definitely, I hear people all the time say, oh, I'm starting a podcast. Oh yeah, I've decided I'm going to start a podcast. I'm like, good luck with that. Like, I could tell you some people that could help you, because it is there. I just couldn't believe like how many moving parts to get it started. Now that it's going, it's just push this button, send, you know, like I've gotten to the rhythm of what I need to do every day after it's done. But I couldn't have done it by myself for sure. That part, those first 7 months, my husband was just like, so have you learned how to use that equipment? So when did your show launch? I'm like, I don't even know.
So do you want to eat dinner tonight or not? Right?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Shirley, what's the best way for people to reach out to you, connect with you?
Through my website, www.getwhatyouwantguru.com. Reach out to me. I will answer any question. I do private coaching. I have radio shows, lots of stuff going on. So
there you go, everybody. GetWhatYouWantGuru.com. Shirley, keep kicking butt, girl. All right. Next.
Thank you, Scott. You're the best. Everybody, Scott's the best. I love that you're doing this for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of it. Thanks for jumping on here. It's great. And I always love it when people are willing to give information and insight to the struggle, because it's not always the easiest thing, but hey, it's very rewarding in the long run. So keep it up, and look forward to all the success you're getting.
It's so worth it. It's for sure so worth it. All right. Thanks, Scott.
Yep. All right. Let's get our next one on here.